really cold last night. This is the coldest day of the year so far. It's been much worse in the past, but this is still kind of for this year, this is a record breaker. I think we should go down to the creek and see how it's looking because I know it's freezing up really well. Well, we're going down to the creek to check things out. I expect it to be pretty gosh darn frozen. This is the officially coldest day that I've had here this year, and it's a little late in coming, but I guess better late than never. Freeze up has been very late. Do I look like a jihadist when I do that? Hmm? Yes, that was me on USA Today. I was undercover. Anyway, we're just going down to the creek. Let me put that out so we don't have to get such a close-up look of me. That's a dangerous thing. Cover one eye. That's what I do. And see how much it's frozen up. I expect it to be frozen up quite a lot. It's really hard to hear the creek. If you listen really close, you can still hear it, but not like you normally can. So, we're going to go check it out. And I will try to explain to you why it's doing what it's doing, because there is a method to its madness. It's not entirely predictable, but you can kind of tell, what it's going to do. At least temperatures wise, as far as freezing up and overflowing. It does it differently a little bit each year, but I don't have to worry about running out of water until it does get frozen to where I can go out onto the ice and get water, because I normally keep about 45 gallons on hand at the cabin, specifically for such things. Let me get a visual here. Because sometimes it can take 2 or 3 days, and it's taken sometimes up to a week before it's easy to get water. You just got to kind of let it do what it's going to do. Okay, here we're at the creek, and as you can see, it is backed up well out of its banks. And the reason it does that is because obviously, now you can see where this little cascade is. That's alder branches in the river. It kind of lopped over last summer sometime, and what happens is, obviously, it's just like a sink. Think of it as a sink that's got a clog in the drain, and everything backs up. That's exactly how the rivers and creeks freeze. They form choke points, and then just like a slow drain, everything backs up, and when it backs up, it slows down, and then you can get into some serious freezing, and that's what we want. Now, I wouldn't try to get ice or water here today. That ice right there is probably really good, but as you can see, now we're way up on a gravel bar. You can see those water-filled moose tracks and dog tracks. We'll see. We're going to try this. I can see water that hasn't frozen yet on top of this, and I don't want my boots to get wet because they're no longer waterproof. These are really good boots, but they're really old. And you can see how it's still not frozen solidly on top. I'm not going to go in, but I could go deep enough like there that my feet could get wet. And I really don't want that because it takes a long time for these packs to dry out. So, but it's doing really well. Like I said, it's supposed to get back up into the teens tomorrow, I think. That's what the weather report said, but they only said it's 8 degrees in town now, and it's obviously not 8 degrees here. It's, like I said, it's well below zero. So with that, we're just going to hold off. Now, my water, let me zoom in. Boom, 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 boom. You can see my my water gathering jugs up there in that little bush, maybe. Yep, there they are, right in the middle. Right in the very middle. Okay, let me just zoom out a bit. Whoop, whoop. I'm going to wait for this to harden up a day, maybe come back tomorrow, and check this out. If this is good and frozen, then I'll be able to walk out on it. Now what's going to probably happen, not for sure though, is that even though this is frozen over, there's going to be a pool that stays open, a little hole. And maybe sometimes there's a few of them, but if there isn't, I'm going to have to make one. In which case I would rather chop a hole through the ice when it's 3 or 4 inches thick rather than when it's 2 feet thick, because the ice on this creek gets really, really thick. Anyway, I'm going to turn this camera back around and let you stare at me again. Now my hands are really cold, and I brought some gloves. Hold on a sec. Be patient with me. Be patient with me. I love my balaclavas. I'm going to be doing a video here in the next few days about how to dress warmly on a budget, because here at Homesteading on a Dime we don't have a lot of money, and as you can see I am dressed in the wonderful green of Army surplus, which is probably from a civilian standpoint very underrated, but I like, whoop, sorry, had too much to drink today, coffee, hold on, this is difficult. I never knew filmmaking was going to be so difficult. There we go, yay! Alright, I'll head back to the cabin now. I haven't even had a sip of my coffee, and I made it especially for this walk. Okay, here we are back at the creek. Big change from yesterday. Yesterday was 14 below. Today is 12 above. As you can see, I no longer need my parka and my balaclava. Just my ratty old everyday sweatshirt and my beanie, and that's all I need. You know, gloves. When I got up this morning, I knew that the river, or the creek, I'm sorry, was going to be a lot different than what I thought it was going to be. I was expecting it to just freeze more, but the warm weather, like I mentioned in the last couple minutes of the clip about how extreme weather fluctuations causes the rivers and creeks to do strange things, that's exactly what it did. It caused a lot of overflow. So let's turn this camera around and I'll show you exactly what it did. Okay, here we're looking at the creek, and it may not look as different to you on the screen, so maybe you want to just kind of zip back quick and see the difference that it's made. It overflowed, I guess. I don't know what's the right word. It's the creek is out of its banks even more than it was yesterday, to the point where I'm about 4 feet further back from where I was walking yesterday when I walked into the slush. Stepping out on it, oops, excuse me, it's pretty slippery. You can see and hear the ice cracking by my feet. So it's freezing up really good, but it's not going to support my weight. The good news is that this water is exposed to the air, as opposed to over here, which, you know, even though there's snow on it, that's all water underneath that. That's going to be the last to freeze, because, as you all know, snow is an insulator. So that's not going to freeze very well at all. I'm better off waiting for this to freeze, because that's going to freeze up really solid. And as you can see, my water jugs from from yesterday, they're over there. And it's kind of a, do I really want to walk across that, even with snowshoes, to get to it? So, and I'm not going to do that. It's just not worth it. I have plenty of water. I'm just going to bide my time and see what happens. If the temperatures stay rather moderate, everything should just continue to freeze, and there won't be any more overflowing. If it does warm up, depending on how much of it warms up, the water levels could actually drop quite precipitously, and all of this ice will go crashing in, because it can't support its own weight yet. When it freezes all the way across and gets about a foot thick, the water levels will drop down to where it's about almost an arm's reach. If I lay on my belly and scoop my my coffee pot into the water, it's about an arm's reach to get into it. That's been the rule of thumb. But it could also cause overflow. In any event, it's going to do something really different unless the unless the temperatures just stay the same. this snow here, if you were to be walking along and you see this overflow and say, well, I can't go there, that's going to be even worse. That's going to be less frozen than that is. Say if let's pretend for a minute that this is a snowmobile trail, and this is just my foot trail, obviously. But let's say you just drove your snowmobile through here, and you went through, and you could tell you're in overflow, and you gunned it, and that's what you do. You gun it, and you don't slow down until you can feel the butt end of your machine coming up out of the water, and you're back on solid ground again. I suggest you get to the nearest shore or the nearest gravel bar as quick as you can. But the good news is that once you go through something like this, you've exposed it to the air, and now it will freeze, and it will actually make the ice better, and it will make a bridge for you. If you're traveling with other people and you go through this, and let's say this is all just water now because you just went through it, it's not frozen at all, it's just slush. Make sure the people with you don't use this same area. Go off to the side. Much better than trying to go through that, because you will have more flotation on this snow than if you just go through that. And it makes your bridge wider as well. But just give it holy heck. Don't slow down at all. And I'm going to turn this thing around again because we're almost done. But anyway, we're just going to let this sit and stew, and hopefully the temperatures will stay moderate, and it'll just freeze up so nicely that within a week maybe I will be going on walks down the middle of the creek with my dogs, because we used to do that all the time. Dad, we're going to go over here. Excuse me, I belched a bit. That's what we do out here in the woods. And I'm going to go here because, one, I know the ice is really thick, and all those alder branches that you can see, that's what that jumbly part is, has made the ice very thick, and I can just reach down in there and grab the water. That's the best way to do it, rather than chop a hole where I was chopping, because the ice is going to be very thick there, simply because there's that second layer of ice, and I would much rather just take it from an available hole than chop one open. So let's once again try to, oh, see, I went in. Okay, plan B. All right, see, that's what I was talking about. That's exactly what I was talking about. That's a great God. Oh, we're professionals here. Okay, that was embarrassing. It felt pretty good when I was walking on it, and then it just went kaboonk. So there we have it. I'm still gonna try to walk across there. My feet are really cold and very wet. They went up above my my baffins, and my feet are very cold, very wet. I'm gonna have to use my backup boots. So I'm gonna take another swing at it, but I'm gonna leave my phone here. I don't want it going in. So let me turn this phone on. Well, here we are back at the creek. Same creek, different day. We got about 4 inches of snow since yesterday, and I thought what I would do is I would come down here and shovel a path through all that crappy ice, that's not going to freeze up because of all the snow cover. Well, now there's even more snow cover, and I already went through yesterday, as you were witnessing, my great splashdown. Um, I got my backup boots on, and if I get these wet, I got my other backup boots on, then I'm out of boots. So I don't want to go in today. It just takes too long to dry those packs out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my shovel, and I'm going to very slowly but surely start shoveling off the snow where I'm reasonably sure I won't go through. We will find out together, but I'm going to switch this camera around to show you what the creek looks like now. So just hold on. Dun 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 dun. Oh no! Take a big step. Well, there we have it. Finally got water. Made 2 runs. You saw the second run because my camera tilted on the tripod. I didn't lock it down enough, and I went nick. So I didn't use that one. Although I could have, you know, be like watching an old episode of Batman. But I'll decide at some point if I want you to see that one. I'll probably have to narrate over some of it because I was too far away from the camera, obviously, and I don't know why I'm telling you this because it's going to be a done deal anyway. So it's not like you're really here right now. But got 2 runs in, got my feet wet once. Did break the ice on the second trip where I was successful at getting up to the opening in the water, and actually on top of the cascade there was a big open hole right there as well, and I decided to use that because why reach way down when the water's right there just inches from you. So I decided to use that, and hopefully that'll stay open. That'd be really cool. So hopefully that hole will stay open, but I'm fairly confident, a little more confident than my ability to judge ice, that it will those holes will stay open as long as the temperatures stay pretty, you know, moderate or even keeled. No, not too many dips or swings in either direction. So, but that's it. That's how I get water in the winter. Like I said, it's always different, and you just have to adapt to it a little bit. But it's always interesting. I hope you liked the video. I hope you didn't think it was too boring. I know you got a laugh out of it at my expense, or at least I hope you did. You know, that whole breaking through the ice there, that was not scripted, and it usually works out best that way. But it was hilarious for me anyway, and very, very ironic. So I hope you liked the video. Please give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe, and I will see you on the next one.